Alrighty, guys. So just before I was getting ready to upload and, finalize the podcast episode for this week, we have a little bit of breaking news here, which, is not uncommon on a Friday afternoon. But this could be big. This could be big. Or it could be much ado about nothing in the end. But for right now, this could be big. The Superman movie, and Warner Brothers in particular, are being sued. And the film, from my understanding, may not be released, or if the lawsuit goes through and the plaintiff, if they win, then this movie may not be released in certain foreign territories. By foreign, we mean non-United States. Now, I want to preface this entire segment by saying I am not a legal expert. I have no qualifications in legal counseling and law or anything like that. So everything I'm about to say, and honestly, most of it, I'm not even here to talk about the specifics of the trial itself or the lawsuit. I'm going to really just read through this Deadline article that reported this, and we'll kind of talk through that. But I think, and I'll talk about my basic understanding of what the possible outcomes of this are. But really, I just want to talk about the fact that, just the fact that this is happening has some ramifications already for the Superman movie. We'll see how this develops in the coming weeks. And, I just based on what I've seen, I wouldn't be particularly surprised if in a few weeks this just kind of gets resolved somehow, either through some negotiations or whatnot. I don't know. Again, no legal background. I don't know how these things work in particular, but this also could develop into something bigger. And I think that this is kind of crazy. So yes, you heard that right. The Superman movie and Warner Brothers are being sued. And this is all very interesting. And we're going to go through this Deadline article. I'm going to go through not everything, but just in as much detail as I think makes sense to talk about here. So just to read, just starting from the beginning, because I don't usually read out these entire articles, but I want to read as much as is relevant to this segment. So let's go through this together, because again, this is all breaking news. And if you want to go through some legal analysis, I'm sure people will be posting their own videos in the coming days. But let's start out at the beginning. Quote, "The estate of Superman creator Joseph Schuster is suing Warner Brothers Discovery and its DC Comics, claiming it lacks the rights to release the upcoming summer tentpole in a handful of key territories. Plaintiff Mark Warren Peary, executor to the state, filed the suit today in federal court in the Southern District of New York, seeking, quote, damages and injunctive relief for the defendant's ongoing infringements in Canada, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and Australia, as well as declaratory relief establishing the Schuster estate's ownership rights across relevant jurisdictions." Okay, so then let's keep going here. Basically, they're talking about just the process that the lawsuit is going through. They're talking about what the Superman movie is about, and then we get to now the actual issues at stake, which is what I was really looking forward to. Looking for in this article, not looking forward to. So let's get to the actual issues. Quote, "At issue are foreign copyrights for the original Superman character and story contributed by Jerome Siegel and Schuster. Though Siegel and Schuster assigned worldwide Superman rights to DC's predecessor in 1938 for a mere $165 each, the copyright laws of countries with the British legal tradition, including Canada, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and Australia, contain provisions automatically terminating such assignments 25 years after an author's death, vesting in the Schuster estate the co-author's undivided copyright interest in such countries," the suit said. Quote, this is continuing on with the lawsuit. Quote, "Schuster died in 1992 and Siegel in 1996. By operation of law, Schuster's foreign copyrights automatically reverted to his estate in 2017 in most of these territories and in 2021 in Canada. Yet defendants continue," this is, again, a direct quote from the lawsuit. And I want to read this out just to make sure there's no ambiguity or anything like that. So anyways, continuing on with the lawsuit. Quote, "Yet defendants continue to exploit Superman across these jurisdictions without the Schuster estate's authorization, including in motion pictures, television series, and merchandise, in direct contravention of these countries' copyright laws, which require the consent of all joint copyright owners to do so." Okay? And so then we move on through the article here. I think that is the brunt of what this article is talking about here. And it's just talking about, again, the rest of it is that the Superman movie is really big. I'm not going to read out the rest of it, I don't think, because, it's saying the lawsuit's requesting a jury trial. And I think that is about it in terms of the details that I wanted to talk about. It's a cease and desist order, which, again, I don't have legal background, but it's saying, quote, "enjoining defendants, their offices, agents, employees, and those acting in concert with them preliminarily." Yeah, it just kind of goes on from there. A lot of legal jargon. Okay, so let's all take a step back here and just synthesize what's going on in my very specific non-legal brain, my movie fan, movie pundit, movie loving brain. Let's kind of figure out what's going on here. So basically, these creators of Superman, who it says in this article, did not have the rights to Superman, at least in the United States, because they sold it to DC, or what DC used to be in the 1930s or the 1940s. And so they gave up the rights. So now DC owns Superman, right? And, there's been all this sort of talk about, in conjunction and in tangential relation to all this, that Superman as a character would be entering the public domain, I think, in the near future. But I think that's a little bit different because that is the version of Superman that DC originated. I'm pretty sure this is still under the purview of DC in the 1940s. And that is a very specific Superman, like the original vision for Superman, not all the New 52 stuff or even the 1960s, 70s. It's not all that kind of stuff. That's DC proper. But anyways, what I'm gathering from this lawsuit is that under this contract, any territory, any foreign territory that was under the United Kingdom, or I guess British, what did they say, British jurisdiction or something like that, has some provisions in these contracts in the original giving up of Superman to DC that says upon 25 years termination, or upon 25 years post death of these creators, the contract can undergo termination and the rights will revert back to the Schuster estate. Because my first question with this, right, is why is this coming up all of a sudden? Why didn't this come up for Man of Steel? Why didn't this come up with Superman and Lois or whatever? And we have our answer. It's because very specifically, this is the first big Superman project that's coming out post the reversion of the rights to the Schuster estate. Now, in terms of motivation, we don't know. I don't know. I don't think the Deadline article really talked about the motivation. Like, why? Because there's a surface level, what the lawsuit itself is objectively saying, there's a surface level there. The surface level is they were not happy or whatever, that they wanted to be consulted. The Schuster estate wanted to be consulted with, before signing off on the rights to this, these Superman movies to be released in Canada, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and Australia. That's the superficial legal reasoning. But, of course, with every lawsuit, there are underlying motivations, or at least, not underlying motivations, but secondary motivations. Is it a pride thing? Is it the fact that the estate just wanted to be consulted with this, and if they were, that they would be happy and they would have signed off on it? Is it a money thing? Is there an actual deeper issue going on here where there were some back channels that that DC went through? Again, all speculation. I don't know. I truly don't know. And honestly, to me, for the purposes of this segment, that's beyond the point, right? That's not really the point of this segment, because now what we have here, and I don't take any joy in saying this is not a good thing. We all want these movies to come out with zero negative fanfare, right? We don't want another Flash situation. None of us want another Flash situation. And if you do, I don't know what to say, because that whole saga was crazy. We don't want another Jonathan Majors thing. We would just all prefer if these movies came out and we can judge them. And if we don't like them, that's the prerogative. You don't have to like it, but if a lot of us love it, that's all the better for it. So it's not a good thing. This isn't a good thing, because no matter what happens, right, this is going to be a little bit of a mark on the production and the release of Superman. What kind of mark and how big it is remains to be seen, right? Because this could just be a blip, and we hope it is, right? We hope in a week that we get this, we get the news that actually the two sides have settled to an agreement, and there's all, they're all fine with it and all that kind of stuff, and we can move on. And again, I mean, it would be pretty crippling. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, I don't know how big the Canadian, United Kingdom, Ireland, Australia, I don't know how big those markets are in terms of box office. So Superman could move forward, I suppose. Again, not knowing the full details of these contract agreements and whatnot. Superman, I suppose, could move forward, from my understanding, and just release and not release in those countries, I think. But, I mean, and maybe the box office wouldn't be hurt too badly, although it seems like, Canada and the United Kingdom and Australia and Ireland are pretty big markets for these movies, right? So I don't know. But maybe they think they can get away with it and just be like, well, let's figure this out later and we can just still release the movie. So I don't think the movie is going to be delayed, or I don't think the movie is not going to release in July. I still think that is perfectly fine. I just think now Warner Brothers is going to have to deal with this, right? And that's going to be another big thing going on here. And if it gets ugly, that could be another thing deterring people from going to the movies. Because, again, people are not going to take the time, and they should, right? We all should. That's why I'm making this segment. That's why we're talking about it here in detail, in explicit detail. It's because people should know exactly what's going on. even if, like myself, you don't have legal expertise, you should kind of be able to understand all the things that are going on here. And this is, it's a fascinating thing. It's kind of a scary thing, because all of a sudden this movie could be, going through all sorts of turmoil, and Warner Brothers could be going through all sorts of turmoil. And I think what remains to be seen now is how big of an impact, a negative press impact, this has on the Superman movie, which had a lot of positive momentum going for it. I know all the little things about Superman's face in that TV spot and whatever, it doesn't matter. That really isn't consequential. This, though, could be very consequential. So this is something where we'll have to be continuing to monitor it, because it's gonna be developing in one way or the other. How long, how much, we'll have to wait and see. Guys, what do you think about this? This is a crazy situation going on here where Superman and Warner Brothers are being sued because apparently the estate thinks that they have the right to, to be consulted before releasing the film in other territories. It's really interesting, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below.